Good morning, everybody, and happy long weekend Monday. If you're not from Canada, happy Monday. If you're from Canada, happy long weekend Monday. Bit of a downer on the weather, but it's definitely not the worst long weekend weather I've seen, definitely not the best. And that's okay. It's going to warm up this week. All the overnights are looking at around 7. That's good news. Getting all of this rain into the ground is good news. Still lots of time to plant. Again, I haven't done my planting yet. I have been out in my garden working. I've been weeding. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But I hope everybody is having a safe long weekend. You know what? A lot of times, I'll speak personally here, the long weekend hits. And my brain is like, oh, you have to do something. It's a long weekend. And it's kind of nice when the weather's like, nope, you're not doing anything. I took Jimmy out yesterday and it was cold, it was damp. It was fun, I have no problem being out in the rain, I'm English. But it was nice to come home and it's warm and it's snuggly and I sat on the couch and I'm gonna say I watched a movie, but by that I mean I slept. So it's a crazy time of year. Sleep when you can, if you're in the gardening world. We got some exciting things coming up. We had a great seminar on Saturday. I got to impart some of the experience, some of the things I've learned by trial and error. Everything from turning your soil and putting amendments in to garden PPE and everything in between. And it was a lot of fun. They always are. We really love doing those webinars. We've got one coming up this Saturday. Perennials, the last one we did was such a huge hit. We're doing another one. And I think for this one, since it's our second one, Brandy and I were just talking this morning. We've forgotten to give stuff away. So we're going to give something away today on GAKidsTV. And I will probably give a perennial away on Saturday. But you're going to have to watch the Perennial seminar in order to win. Maybe we'll do a question, or maybe we'll give it away during the seminar. So you have to be watching it live, no watching it from the blog. Who knows what it's going to look like? I don't, considering I just made it up 48 seconds ago. So with all that said and done, let's move on. So weeds. Divisive subject at best. I have actually witnessed firsthand neighbors fighting, not fisticuffs, but screaming at each other over weeds. It was a duplex in Montreal, and one person would go out and they were rigorous on how they maintained their lawn, and the other person preferred a more natural, harmonious lawn with clover and dandelions, plantains, and the two of them would not compromise at all. And it's upsetting because both are correct. My personal style, and again, I speak personally here, I don't like weeds in my flower beds. I like weeds in my lawn. I had some friends in the garden the other day, and we were just talking about gardening. They're up-and-coming gardeners who are always picking my brain. I love talking to them. And we were talking about bellflower, okay? Campanula, and this is bellflower. This is my rendition of it. This is a brutal weed. It's invasive. It has if you've ever dug it up, you'll see it's got a mat of roots coming out. And these roots go everywhere. They interweave with one another. They form a carpet. They stay relatively shallow, as in maybe, that deep, 6 inches, maybe down to 8 inches, but they're a real mat. So what happens when we put a plant in there, tomato, peony, a tree, those roots will literally crowd out over the other roots. Then as the water and fertilizers are coming down, they're robbing it all. They're pulling the nutrients out of the soil. And weeds exist because they have the ability to thrive in places that other plants can't. I think we've all seen, you know, the meme, the joke, or we've all seen it personally, where you can do everything right. You test your soil, you amend your soil, you do everything. You put a perennial in and the perennial's like, nah, I'm out. And it just dies. And then you've got a dandelion growing in concrete that hasn't had water in however long, full sun, no soil because it's in a crack in concrete, thriving. But that's the purpose of weeds. Weeds do that. If you've ever seen an area where they've, you know, knocked a house down and they're going to build a new house, and there's machines going over and construction workers, and then they just leave the land because it's not ready to build the new one yet, and it's all just bare soil and it's been compacted. It's had backhoes and bulldozers and big dump trucks driving on it. Well, what are the first plants you see growing there? You see your dandelion, and you see your bellflower, and you see your clovers. And the reason for that is they have incredibly strong root systems, and they can thrive where there isn't a lot of nutrients. Now, if you were to leave that area completely alone and not touch it, eventually some of the plants we don't consider weeds, trees and everything else, would start coming in, because these root systems are going to start breaking the soil. As they grow and they force their way in, the soil starts coming down around them and they start holding it. So you have bare soil and you get a torrential rainfall, you can get a mudslide. You start stabilizing the soil with matted carpet root systems and tap root systems like a dandelion. You start locking this soil in and allowing it to open and breathe. So weeds are phenomenally important as they exist. Now, there are some that are noxious, and all weed means, by the way, you know, it's just an unwanted plant. I have taken out trees that were this big because they self-seeded, and they were a weed tree, and we couldn't have it growing where it was simply because it was too close to a foundation, too close to a house. It would have destroyed a perennial bed, a deck, whatever the reason. And it's too hard to transplant because it hasn't grown in a pot. It doesn't have that big, healthy system. It's got a couple of roots that have gone really deep. You dig it up, those roots tear, so you have to eliminate it. So a weed, I want a dandelion and I want bellflower in my lawn because of this guy, okay? This girl, I should say. I want her to get everything she needs. I want her to have a diverse diet, and I want her to keep coming back to my yard so she can start pollinating my tomatoes and my peppers and my sunflowers. So I have no problem. But I do not want them in my perennial bed or my tomato bed, because I don't want my peony combating with something that is literally going to leach it out. So it is okay to say, oh, I'm going to have weeds here, but not here. And when you remove them, you've really got to get the root. A lot of times, weeds are perennial. So both of these weeds that I drew, and I drew them simply because literally the only two I could draw that would be anywhere close to recognizable. Pretty proud of my dandelion. Pretty proud of that one. That one's okay, but that one, that's it. You know what? There we go, I signed it. Like my flourish at the end. And I lost my train of thought going on about that. Oh yeah, roots. That's so when you're removing a weed, you really want to dig it out, and that's the great thing. So if the bellflower gets from my lawn into my vegetable garden, oh no, we were talking about perennials and annuals. We already talked about roots. So these are perennials, and we're going to get to what I was just saying. These are perennials. So that means when you remove it, you've got to take out the root. If you just rip the tops off, especially with something like creeping bellflower, what the root tends to do, so you have a root, you got a flower on it, you rip it off, but you don't dig out the root. The root goes, hey, I'm going to split. Now you got more coming up. You want to get a shovel in, and you want to bring out as much of that root. I was digging it out my beds the other day, and I was getting root systems like this, just a mat of roots. And then you've got annual ones like chickweed. Chickweed is really an invasive. Chickweed doesn't bother me. Take a cultivator, bust it up, it's dead. stop it before it goes to seed, it won't come back next year. So chickweed isn't a problem. Again, I leave chickweed in my lawn. And then there's even biennial weeds like thistle. And that puts out all of its growth one year. Then the next year it puts out a flower, drops its seed, it dies, the seed comes up and repeats the cycle. So when you're removing a weed, even chickweed, when I have my cultivator, I rip through the roots and I tend to just leave it on the soil. The sun hits the roots, cooks it, and I just work it back into the soil and it's fine. And you're always going to have to combat them. And that's why I leave them in my lawn. I don't want to fight a losing battle, and weeds are always going to be there. So I've learned to live harmonious. I have a kid, I have a dog, I like to entertain, I have a fire pit on my lawn. We're always walking on it. There's no point trying to grow like a beautiful Kentucky blue for me. But if you want to do that, that is fine. We've done things on lawn. We did a webinar on lawns telling you how to do it. So I have no problem. As always, it's not one size fits all. But the great thing about it, and I'll tell a little anecdotal story, and then we have to wrap it up, but we are going to give something away. I had a neighbor a number of years ago come over to talk to me. His house was opposite mine in the street. And his veggies were not doing good, and mine were flourishing. Big, fat, juicy tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers and whatnot. And he asked why, and I delicately said to him, well, you're out all the time. All you have is some veggies, but then all you've got are just shrubs and a completely pristine lawn. Meanwhile, I've got annuals hanging from everywhere, sunflowers growing. I've got a lawn filled with bellflower, dandelion, clover. I actually put clover into my lawn. I've got a fruit tree. I've got all of this stuff. The pollinators are flying down the middle of the road. Not that they do that, but I'm saying as an example. And they're looking for something to eat. Are they going to see your 4 tomato plants back by the house? Or are they going to see my lawn that, to their eyes, is lit up like a buffet? And I could see them kind of trying to process it like, oh, that sounds right. 2 days later, he was out there spraying his lawn. So to each their own. I don't care. I wish people would leave them. I wish the bees would get them. But if your lawn makes you happy, hey, grow that Kentucky blue. Have that lush grass. We work hard. It's a very chaotic world at the moment. If that makes you happy when you get home, be happy. That's all I'm going to say. So on that note, if that's your type of lawn, this probably isn't the giveaway for you. But for people who like this type of lawn, I'm going to give away a bag of clover. Okay, this is what I'm giving away. And the wonderful thing about clover, if you overseed it like grass seed through your lawn, it'll do amazing. It's going to put out flowers that the pollinators love. It never gets too tall and shaggy. You don't have to worry about that. It needs less water. It also fixes nitrogen. So it leaches nitrogen out, which actually makes the lawn you have stronger because lawns uptake nitrogen. So this goes harmoniously with grass. And because its roots hold water, the grass gets water from that, and you need to cut less. So I am giving this away, and I say I am. By that, I mean I'm going to announce it, give it to Brandy, and walk away. That's about my effort done. And Brandy is going to figure out how to get this into somebody's hand, and you're going to have beautiful bees loving your clover. So that wraps us up. I think this week we're going to talk a little bit more about weeds. We're going to talk about some bugs, good bugs, bad bugs, how to combat them, what you want to see in your garden. We'll talk about best practices. Lots of just fun-related garden things, gives you guys some comfort. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Enjoy your day off. Watch what you're doing. Stay warm, stay snuggly. Perfect day for learning all about gardening, drinking tea, and sitting on your couch. That's where I wish I were, on my couch, not your couch. That would be freaky. Unless I'm invited. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.